bit in line. This is going to go a little in line with what we're going to finish talking about. With the last part of class, we're going to focus on the dessert appetizer competition and kind of see where we are with that. So this one, exhibits and trade shows. We have two different types. We have B2B and B2C. Okay. So B2B is business to business. This is where we're trying to sell our product to other businesses. B2C is business to consumer. Those are things like the home and garden show or an auto show where we're trying to sell our product to actual consumers. Okay. So I'll give you an example. A B2B last year, this class, we went to the convention center and they were tearing down the Ace Hardware trade show. And so essentially, Ace Hardware, as well know what Ace Hardware is, correct?
Mhm.
The store. Okay. So all of the buyers for all the stores for Ace Hardware came together to the convention center, and then all of the products that you would find in an Ace Hardware store, all of the buyers were walking around the trade show, and those businesses were trying to sell to Ace Hardware. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about it was April when we went, but they were selling and they were buying their inventory for Christmas. So we walked into the convention center and it was all decked out for
It was
Christmas.
Christmas.
Christmas trees everywhere, all the inflatable lawn for like all the inflatable lawn ornaments and everything like that. And they were trying to sell their Christmas inventory. So Sarah works for Ace Hardware in Universal City. So she walks up to this person and is like, you know what? I love this inflatable. I'm gonna order 400 from you. And they
Mhm.
place their orders right then and there. So there's a lot of business that happens in that B2B setup.
They need to go hit up Windcrest.
And then we have, yeah, then we have the business to consumers, the B2C, right? And so let me go back real quick to the B2B. So those vendors, those people that are selling products on the floor, they have to know what's up with the trends because they have to then sell that product to the stores that will then be selling the product. So B2C is business to consumer. That's where we're actually selling things. Oftentimes when we have the expos for the rock and roll marathons I used to do, you would walk in and there'd be all these businesses that are trying to sell you their product or give their product away to bring more awareness to their products. The next time you go grocery shopping, you're like, oh yeah, I tried this at the expo and I kind of liked it. So then when I go to the grocery store, I see that brand, I'm going to buy it. Right. So that B2C is about bringing familiarity to their product and or directly selling their product, right? Anybody ever been to a home and garden show before? Yeah, so the home and garden show, of course, things like windows, lawn, you
It's
have
like
like
IKEA.
siding, you might have like furniture. I remember I got hooked on these little things called Zip Fizz, which is like a little energy thing that you put in water and it fizzes and then you drink it and it's supposed to give you energy, right? Like a little Crystal Light packet. But they're like, if you buy, right now today, you can buy 10 for this price or 20 for this price or 30 for this price. And so they're trying to sell that product there on the floor. And that's that business to consumer. I've never been to a Comic Con, so I can't say for sure, but I'm assuming there's going to be people that are selling comic
Lots of
books and lots
vendors,
of different
yeah.
vendors. That's a B2C type of experience. Okay. So B2B is going to be the customers that are going to be there are usually business owners. Okay. The B2C are going to be things that are more on a regional or local basis, right? People, unless it's something like a Comic Con, if San Antonio is the only Comic Con in Texas, which I'm sure it's not, but if it were, people would travel from that region to come to that location to go visit that. Okay. Um, Usually the B2B is part of a conference or a convention, so that access is already included in your registration for the conference. Whereas a B2C is either free or we charge a ticket price to get in to help cover the cost of putting the
Like the
event on.
rodeo and stock show, and they have
Right.
like vendors and stuff up
Yep,
in
that's a
there.
business to consumer.
Sometimes they have like fall festival things where
Yep.
they come through.
So typically B2C is going to happen on the weekend when people, or if it's in the summertime, it might happen during the week. So when people are off, they'll go and visit versus the B2B, when people are doing business during the week, that's when those B2Bs typically will happen. So we have an exhibition organizer and a facilities manager. So we have the person that's at the facility. So that would be like Flora at the convention center. She knows the ins and outs of the convention center. And then you have that exhibitor or organizer. So my friend Callie, she and her husband own the wedding extravaganza, the bridal extravaganza. And so they put on the bridal shows. They are the organizers. They're the ones who sell the booths. They're the ones who try to go out and get different clients to fill those booths, right? And then you have somebody who's at the facility actually managing it. And this is where the service contract, this is where Freeman's going to come in. So when we go talk to Tracy at the Freeman on March the 5th, this is where they are the general service contractor. So their whole job is to help people put on exhibitions and trade shows. Okay. Um, and they help with all the details. They can help with some details. They can also help with all the details. So it kind of just depends on what the client's budget is. Okay. They help with designing the floor plan. They help with making booths. If you've ever been to a convention or a conference and they have those registration booths set up, right outside, the general service contractor is the one who provides those booths. And it's really cool because when we go to their warehouse and see it, how many of y'all ever play with Legos? Anybody play with Legos? Okay, they literally have these giant Lego books on how to put these booths together. And it's just they go over, they get the sides, they get the like they literally have like the pieces to put these things together. So what happens is they have the technology a system that says I need this booth to look like this. The technology figures out which pieces it needs, and then it makes a step-by-step build your own Lego booth book. And I think it's like, I'm like, okay, maybe once I retire, I can just go build booths. And just be like an adult and play with Legos all day. I think that would be so much fun, right? So they handle all of that. We will see freight storage. Okay, so Edward has a booth in the show coming up. Well, the show happens in May and he wants to send all of his stuff. So Freeman will say, okay, if your show is in May, then you can send your stuff to us as early as April. And then once it gets to us, we will mark it with your booth number so that we'll store it in our area. So then when it comes time to move everything, we will pick it up, put it on our trucks, we'll take it to the convention center, and we will put it in your booth. We'll unload your box, we'll put all your stuff in the booth. We're not going to set it up for you, but we'll set it all down. And then we take that box away, we put it over kind of off in the back of the house. And then at the end of the show, we bring that back to you and you put all your stuff in it. And then we ship that back on to wherever you need to ship it. We slap the label on it and it goes on to wherever it goes. They handle all of that for you. Okay. Um, and they can do it as where we set up your whole booth. That's going to cost money because I have to pay somebody to set up your booth, right? Or it's like, I'm just going to go and leave this here for you and you set it up yourself. Okay. Booths, and so the really cool thing about what I did with scheduling this year is we will see in March, we will see some of the stuff. And then when we go to the convention center, we'll actually see some of that stuff already set up or moving in, right? So you'll get to see like the beforehand. And then when we go to the convention center, we'll actually see it in action as well when we go visit Flora. So they handle all of that. They handle like the lane of the carpet. They handle the lane of the electricity throughout the entire hall. So they play a major role in that. The manager is really important to have those good people skills because you want to make sure that as people are coming in, they're checking in. If they have problems, they can go check in with you, and you're gonna get those problems resolved. So thinking about some things about the show itself, we want to think about location, right? We've already talked about our location for upstairs, okay? I think one of the things that Sarah brought up that I still need to follow up on is electrical load.
Yes.
And what does that look like? What can we put in? How much can we put in
Yeah, how much
into that?
electricity can
Yeah.
we hold up in there? It's probably
So
quite a bit because it's a commercial building,
the
but
shipping and the storage, absolutely, yes. The shipping and the storage that kind of I've already talked about. And then marketing and promoting. So if we have a home and garden show, we have to pay to market that to the public. So the public knows, maybe we do like a social media post, right? This is, I don't know if you're aware of this or not. If you aren't, I hope I'm not bursting any bubbles. But how many of you have ever like started, you look on one thing on Amazon and then the next time you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, that thing keeps popping up, right? So based on your search
your
history,
cookies.
when somebody put, like, let's say we're doing a home and garden show, and I want to target people that have these specific interests. If your personal algorithm says that you have these interests, you're going to start seeing ads for this home and garden show. That's just the way technology works, which is kind of creepy, that it knows kind of what you're interested in. And so, yeah.
You can turn that off, just FYI.
Won't work.
Yeah, well,
So sponsorships, other marketing opportunities. So we have, oh, actually, you know what? I think I can show you.
special event sponsorship. Like,
But these additional marketing opportunities are these sponsorships to help cover the cost of putting on the event because the event is not cheap, okay, to put things on. And so for us, for our event, the sponsorship includes a 30-minute early entry so they can kind of beat the crowds and not have to be like elbowing to get their way up to a table, or they can use that 30 minutes to talk with their team and kind of get them and get to know them, maybe even take a picture with the team since they're sponsoring. Just gives them that opportunity to have that uninterrupted time. And of course, the logo recognition. When we go to the convention center, we might see some logo recognition as well, as far as branding. So different opportunities to incorporate that. So one of the things we want to include, we mentioned this in the teachers' communication with the students, like why would you want to participate? Well, you could potentially find your future boss. You could get a job from this because you're cooking, you're presenting something dessert or appetizer, and these are all industry people that are working for different companies. So you may find your future career. So this is an opportunity. If we're doing like B2C or B2B, sometimes it could also be like live product demos. I mean, think about if you have a Sam's or a Costco membership. They have all the samples, right? They're all set up. They're doing live demos so you can see what the product is like before you actually purchase it. Typically, a booth is 10 by 10. So 10 feet by 10 feet is our typical booth size. Okay. Um, and a booth typically looks like this is going to be like your 10 by 10 space area. Um, And so oftentimes you will see something like these are all really fancy booths. Let's do a pipe and drape. There we go. So typically you'll see things like pipe and drape. This is what we call pipe and drape, right? We have the pipes, which is the frame, and then the drapes. Drapes can be, we'll see when we go to Freeman, they have different colors. So if you have a certain color theme, usually like red, white, blue, black are pretty standard colors. You can even mix it. So I've seen them where like the middle panel, there's usually three panels of drape. The middle panel is a different color. But you can see here how all of the pipe and drape kind of goes together from booth to booth. So most have this 3 foot high divider between this other 10 by 10 space. You could also take this away and you can rent a 10 by 20. So if you feel like your 10 by 10 is not enough for your space, you could have a 10 by 20 space. You just pay extra for that. Then we also have what we call islands, and that's what you're gonna see right here. An island, there's basically nothing around you. All the sides are open, or you might be on the corner of the area. That would be like a peninsula. But this island right here allows you to, and your island could be 10 by 10. It could be a 10 by 40, which means you have 10 or 20 by 20. It can be at whatever size the booth.
That one with the long horns looks cool.
So, floor is floor plan. So oftentimes the exhibitor is going to have a booth um, layout like this. So it'll show you whether they have the 10. So this is still 10 by 10, right? So this is 30 by 20. So this is 3 booths long by 20 booths wide or 2 booths wide. And so this is our island of 4 booths by 20 booths by 2 booths, sorry. So the floor plan, this is what Freeman helps out with. Freeman has a computer system that will develop your floor plan for you. And then you just assign the vendors where they belong. Kind of like what we have upstairs, we have like the tabletops. We're gonna do tabletops for each table, for each group. We're gonna pre-assign them. Or if they need
Right.
electricity, we might be more strategic on where we place them based on their electricity needs. But yeah, so it can look as simple as just this. It can be even more detailed. Then there could be hundreds of booths. Okay. Um, we talked about that already, right? Booth sizes, here we are. So then as we think about staffing it, we also want to make sure we have enough people. So this is like where our volunteers are going to come into play, right? So there might be somebody that's in meet and greet. Their job is to be at the entrance to help give directions. Oftentimes in trade shows, if it is something that has to be ticketed, or if it's part of a conference, you have to have your conference badge to get into the door. So you have kind of security. There's actually companies that stand outside. You can hire that company that they'll basically like a staffing agency. They'll staff people for you to stand out there. They're basically,
They do it
a lot of times they're like
AT&T.
older people that are retired and they're just like wanting something to do. So they stand out there and they're just basically checking for those badges. If you don't have a badge, oh, let me direct you over to the information booth where you can check in and get your badge to come in, right? It's not just like, hey, go away, you're not allowed in here. They'll just kind of bring that attention to people. So other volunteers we're gonna want, obviously in the kitchens, we want 2 people per kitchen that we're
We
using.
discussed that. I wrote it
Yeah.
all down. We decided we needed like 19 or
I would say at least 2 people per kitchen, and then we also want to, and those would be our specific students. And then we do want to have probably at least 10 people to help out with other event stuff as far as picking up trash.
We decided on like 20 people or
Okay,
something.
perfect. And we could use
I didn't make like a list of assignment because I didn't know who was gonna. I
yeah.
want to see who signs up and how many people, what we have, and that way I can talk to them about like, I know you're culinary, but do you have a blazer?
Well, I mean, even if they're culinary, even if they're helping us with the front of the house events, they can still wear their chef uniform.
Okay.
Yeah, they can absolutely wear it because it's promoting St. Philip's. They're wearing their chef uniform. They don't have to wear the hat.
A UTSA student.
Yeah, UTSA or management students, we can give them that uniform of, black pants, white shirt.
Okay.
Here's your traditional catering uniform, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if like UTSA has a polo shirt and they want to
Or
promote that they are with
maybe they
UTSA.
have whites of their own.
Yeah, they don't have chef whites because
They
they
don't
don't
have
have a
whites.
culinary program over there.
It's a culinary program.
Us. So they come here, get your culinary, and then you transfer to them to get there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So so that's kind of what we'll go over with the volunteers. And Sarah, I think I added you as an editor to a Google form.
To a random form, and I was gonna go edit it. I just haven't had time. I apologize. I've been
That's okay.
really.
Stop, time out,
Okay.
time out, stop. I'm thinking now we probably can use Sign Up Genius because Sign Up Genius allows you to put the number of slots that you want. And when it's full, it's full.
Okay.
Versus having a Google form that we have,
Yeah, I have to go
there's no way
shut it
to kinda
down.
control that. if we want to. What are your
Right.
thoughts? I mean, Google form, a lot of people can sign up, whereas in Sign Up Genius, if it's full,
What do you want to do? Do
I
you
feel
want
like
to
using Google. I think the Google
overshoot for
form
one
is
of the
fine.
numbers?
The Google form is fine.
I would like to overshoot the number just in case some of them flake out.
Yeah, that's good. Google form is good. It's good.
I like the Google form because like I can have more control over it with my phone too and
Yep.
access.
All right. So ROI. This is something that is really important. This is another acronym, but this is a business acronym in general, ROI. What is the return on the investment? Okay. So as we have to be able to tell people, yes, your booth is going to cost you $10,000, but we're going to give you access to all of these consumers and you should make your money back, if not right now, in the future, right? So going back to my example from the expos, the health and wellness expos from the rock and roll, I'm handing out little free samples of my yogurt covered raisins, right? And this is my brand. So then the next time that person walks through HEB or Target or Walmart, they see that brand and they are more likely to buy it because they've tasted it and they remember that they like it. And so that's the return on the investment. And we want to be able to kind of track that and show that. So, what is a return on our investment? We are investing quite a bit of time for this appetizer dessert competition. What would be a hope or a return on our investment in doing so?
Students choose here to come for their degrees.
Exactly, that they choose to come to St. Philip's to do their culinary arts degree or their baking and pastry arts degree. All right, that was chapter 5.